It's too often that we ascribe malice to actions that were simply a case of incompetence. And that is something that I've caught myself on recently because I actually didn't think I was doing that. But then I looked into one of the situations that I had with a person, and I realized that I was thinking like, oh, like they meant to hurt me, they meant to be disrespectful. But in reality, when I looked at it, it was like it actually seemed more like a case of incompetence, in relation to being able to communicate your thoughts, being able to communicate like what's going on in this head, and then when I kind of reframed it, I sat back and I was like, all this time I was so angry. I was just carrying all this anger in me, and now it's like it could also be that they were just simply incompetent at communication. Like they just lacked the skill of good communication. And then I'm just sitting back and I'm like, huh. So this whole time it wasn't actually malice. And then I thought to myself, well, if I spent all this time trying to figure out whether it was malice or not, what was the intent behind it, what if I just never ascribed malice to it or anything like that? And I just kind of looked at the outcome. It's like, does this person bring me good or do they bring me bad? And I think there's basically two stages to it because I actually went through both stages. It wasn't like I had this revelation immediately. But the first stage was basically when I was like, well, this wasn't actually malice. And the next day, or actually for the next like 3 days, I was sitting there and I actually just ended up working. Like for the next 3 days, I was working like really long days. And they were pretty mentally exhausting. That being said, I went home and I was like, that was a good day. It was exhausting, but it was a good day. And I didn't think about, oh, I have to prove myself, this. It's like never has that thought came across my mind. I was just so focused on work. And then I actually thought to myself, well, so then all this anger that I've been carrying actually didn't serve me as well as I thought it did, because I mean to some degree I kept this anger and this I'm gonna prove myself. I kind of kept it in me because I was like, well, this serves me to kind of keep on pushing through the tough times, through the tough periods when I don't really want to keep on going. That being said, I realized that when I kind of got rid of that, I actually was able to work even harder for longer and I was less drained. I was just like, because the work would just energize you. And even though yeah, I was exhausted from being focused all day, but I was less drained. And so then the next step after that, I which was basically yeah, that I thought to myself, well, if I'm spending all this time trying to figure out the intent, why does it matter? Like I could just leave that and just look at the outcomes. Do they make my life better or worse? And I think that's like the next level up, which is not obviously like it's not always possible because our innate desire as humans is to understand what was the intent? Why would they do that? And it doesn't matter how advanced you get in this. Like, there's still going to be points where it's like, but what did they want to achieve by this? What was the intent? But in reality, you never know somebody's intent. You only know your intent. And even then, most of the time, people are still going to judge you based on the outcomes. And so I have found that kind of just looking at the actual measurable metrics of like, is my life better or not with this person in my life has been a far better outlook on life. And it has certainly helped me get rid of a lot of self-inflicted pain, a lot of unnecessary hurt. So if that's helpful, use that in your life.